All right, so we're diving deep into the 4-hour work week today.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the audiobook excerpts
Okay.
to see, can we really use these ideas? You know, escape the 9 to 5, design a life with more freedom.
Right.
Is it a fantasy? Or can we actually apply these principles?
Well, I think that's a fascinating question that a
Yeah.
lot of people have when they first hear about this.
Yeah.
Is it just a catchy title?
Yeah.
Or is there really something there?
Yeah.
And Ferriss really tackles it head on. He's arguing it's not just about the hours,
Right.
but about really fundamentally redesigning your life
Yeah.
around what matters to you. And I think one of the things that's really interesting is
Yeah.
he doesn't follow the traditional path himself, right?
He does not. I mean, he opens the book talking about competing in the Tango World Championships semifinals in Buenos Aires.
Wow.
And not a professional dancer.
Right.
He actually left his high-stress corporate job to chase this wild adventure.
Yeah, I think it perfectly illustrates his central point, which is challenging that default path.
Yeah.
There are other ways to live.
Right.
And he contrasts this with what he called the deferred life plan.
Yeah.
Which is what, most of us kind of follow, where you're delaying gratification for decades,
Right.
hoping to finally enjoy life in retirement.
Yeah, work now, play later.
Exactly.
So instead of this grinding away for years and years,
Right.
Ferriss advocates for what he calls lifestyle design.
Yeah, creating that fulfilling life now, not 40 years down the road.
No, not 40 years down the road. And he lays out this deal framework,
Yes.
definition, elimination, automation, and liberation
Right.
as a roadmap for achieving this new rich lifestyle.
That's it.
So tell me more about this deal framework.
Yeah. So it all starts with D, defining what you truly want.
Okay.
And one of the things that I think is so interesting about Ferriss's work
Yeah.
is he challenges our assumptions about wealth and success.
Right.
And he introduces this concept of relative wealth.
Okay.
It's not just about your bank balance,
Yeah.
but it's about the ratio of your income to your time.
I like that. So the goal is to earn more while working less, which gives you more freedom to pursue your passions and interests.
Exactly. Exactly. It's about having more control over your time and your life.
It's one thing to say it,
Right.
another to actually do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Ferriss himself even admits he had a near nervous breakdown before embarking on his year-long trip.
That's right. He was terrified of leaving his company
Right.
and facing, potential financial ruin.
So how did he overcome that fear?
Well, this is where his worst-case scenario exercise comes in.
Okay.
So he sat down and meticulously detailed everything that could go wrong.
Yeah.
And by facing those fears head-on,
Yeah.
he realized the consequences weren't as catastrophic as he had imagined.
Interesting. So by confronting his fear, he actually empowered himself to take action.
Exactly. Exactly. It's a powerful way to kind of reframe our thinking.
Do you think that's something most people could benefit from?
Absolutely. I think, we often overestimate the risks and underestimate our ability to bounce back.
Okay, so we've defined our ideal life, we've tackled our fears. What's next?
So the next step in the deal framework is E for elimination.
Elimination, okay.
And this is where Ferriss brings in the Pareto principle, which you may have heard of.
Yeah, the 80-20 rule.
The 80-20 rule.
80% of your results come from 20% of your efforts.
Exactly. So the idea is to identify those crucial 20% tasks and then ruthlessly eliminate the rest.
Easier said than done, I imagine.
It definitely takes practice, but it's essential for maximizing your effectiveness.
So how do you actually go about doing that?
Well, he offers a lot of different strategies, but one of the key things is to really track your time. See where you're actually spending your time and energy,
Right.
and then start to look for those tasks that could either be eliminated or delegated.
Now, you mentioned delegating. Is that where outsourcing comes in?
Exactly. Outsourcing is a huge part of the 4-hour workweek philosophy. Ferriss encourages readers to outsource anything that can be done by someone else, whether it's personal tasks like errands and appointments or business tasks like customer service and marketing.
So it's about freeing up your time and energy to focus on the things that you're really good at.
Precisely. And it doesn't have to be expensive either. There are a lot of affordable outsourcing options available these days, like virtual assistants and online marketplaces.
You know, another concept he brings in is Parkinson's law. Can you explain that one?
Yeah, Parkinson's law states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion.
So if you give yourself a week to complete a task, it will take you a week. But if you give yourself a day, it will take a day.
Exactly. So the idea is to set tighter deadlines for yourself, to force yourself to be more efficient.
I can see how that could backfire if you're not careful.
It's definitely about finding the right balance. You don't want to set yourself up for failure.
Hmm.
But the idea is that we often waste a lot of time when we don't have clear deadlines.
So it's about being more intentional with your time and your energy.
Precisely. And it's important to remember that elimination isn't just about tasks, it's also about information.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Ferriss advocates for what he calls a low-information diet. So, selectively filtering the information that you consume to avoid overload.
That makes sense. He talks about not watching the news, limiting email checks, and relying on trusted sources rather than endlessly researching every decision.
Exactly. It's about being more mindful of the information that you're letting into your life.
Do you think that's realistic for most people, though?
It might require some adjustments, but I think the benefits are significant. By being more intentional with our information intake, we free up mental bandwidth and reduce stress, which allows us to focus on what truly matters.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, it seems like this elimination phase is about shifting away from the traditional obsession with productivity towards a focus on effectiveness.
Exactly. It's not about doing more, but about doing the right things. And that leads us to A for automation.
Automation, okay.
So this is where Ferriss dives into the power of outsourcing to free up time and mental energy,
Yeah.
and not just for businesses. He actually shares this fascinating story of A.J. Jacobs, who outsourced his entire life.
Wait, what? His entire life? What do you mean by that?
Jacobs outsourced everything, from grocery shopping to arguing with his mother-in-law.
Wow.
And surprisingly, he found that it not only saved him time, but actually improved his relationships.
How so?
Well, by outsourcing the tasks that he didn't enjoy or wasn't good at, he was able to focus on the things that he was passionate about, and that brought him joy.
So it's not just about delegating work tasks.
Right.
It's about creating a system that takes care of things.
Yes.
Freeing you up to focus on what you truly enjoy.
Exactly, exactly. And it doesn't have to be about hiring an army of people either.
Yeah.
Ferriss encourages experimenting with outsourcing even small tasks, perhaps using virtual assistants to get comfortable with delegating.
So it's about identifying those tasks that can be done by someone else, allowing you to focus on your unique strengths and passions. This brings us to a really exciting part of the book, which is building a muse.
Yeah, so a muse is Ferriss's term for a business that is designed for automated income generation. It's about creating a system that works for you even when you're not actively working on it.
Sounds like a dream come true. But how do you even start building something like that?
Well, Ferriss emphasizes the importance of micro-testing product ideas before investing a lot of time or resources.
So you're not sinking a ton of money into something before you know if it's going to work.
Exactly. And he shares a great example from his own life. His friend Sherwood had this idea to sell French sailor shirts online.
Okay.
And instead of, sinking a ton of money into inventory up front, he ran this brilliant micro-test.
What did he do?
He used eBay auctions to gauge demand.
Okay.
And then targeted Google AdWords campaigns to see if people were actually searching for this type of product.
So he was basically testing the waters before diving in headfirst.
Exactly. It's a low-risk way to validate your ideas before going all in.
I like that approach. And is that where these lose-win guarantees come in?
Exactly.
Yeah.
These are guarantees that are so bold and customer-centric,
Right.
they almost seem counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But they work.
What's an example?
Well, Ferriss talks about a nutritional supplement company that offered a double-your-money-back guarantee.
Wow.
And they actually saw a significant increase in sales because people were so intrigued by the guarantee.
So you're basically taking away the risk for the customer and giving them an added incentive to try your product.
Exactly. It's about shifting the focus from minimizing your losses to maximizing the customer's potential win.
I like that. Okay, so we've got our muse up and running, but how do we manage it without getting sucked back into the 9-to-5 grind?
Right. This is where Ferriss introduces the concept of management by absence.
Management by absence. Okay, tell me more about that.
So he lays out this really clear flowchart to illustrate the key components of a virtual business architecture. Basically a blueprint for running your business remotely.
So you can manage your business from anywhere in the world. That's incredible.
It is. And he emphasizes using established companies for crucial tasks,
Yeah.
like order processing and fulfillment,
Right.
rather than relying on individual freelancers.
Okay.
And this ensures better reliability and scalability.
So you're not constantly putting out fires and can actually enjoy the freedom you've created.
Exactly. And he really lived this himself. He shares anecdotes of managing his own business from all over the globe, checking in only occasionally.
That's amazing. So you really can build a successful business without being chained to a desk.
Yeah.
But what about those of us who are still working for someone else? Can we apply these principles to our 9 to 5 jobs?
Absolutely. While Ferriss focuses on entrepreneurship, a lot of his principles can be adapted to any work context.
Okay, so I'm really curious to hear how that works. Can you give me an example?
Sure. So for example, the 80-20 rule and Parkinson's law can help you become more efficient in any role,
Yeah,
whether it's prioritizing tasks or setting deadlines to improve focus.
right.
Even if you're not ready to launch your own muse, you can still create more freedom and flexibility in your current job.
So even within a traditional work structure, there's room for applying these concepts to create a more fulfilling experience.
Absolutely. It's about taking ownership of your work and finding ways to be more effective and intentional, regardless of your job title.
That's really empowering. Now, one thing that really struck me in the audiobook was this idea of a comfort challenge.
Oh, yeah.
He uses the striking analogy of a lobster shedding its shell
Yeah.
to show how our self-perception can actually limit us.
Absolutely. It's about pushing yourself beyond your comfort zone,
Yeah,
but in manageable steps.
right.
He encourages readers to do things that make them slightly uncomfortable,
Okay.
like negotiating for a better deal
Yeah.
or speaking up in a meeting.
So it's like a muscle you build by gradually pushing yourself further.
Exactly. Exactly. These small acts of courage build confidence and expand your comfort zone over time.
And it aligns with his overall message of questioning assumptions and taking calculated risks.
Absolutely. It's about challenging yourself to grow and evolve.
Right. And he doesn't just leave you hanging with vague advice. He provides this exercise to help readers define their nightmare scenario.
Yes. By confronting our worst fears in detail, we often realize the consequences of failure are far less dire than we imagine.
It's another tool for overcoming fear and taking action.
Exactly. It's about shifting your perspective and realizing you have more control over your life than you might think.
Okay, so we've talked about defining our ideal lifestyle, eliminating unnecessary work, automating income streams, and even managing a business remotely. But what about the L in deal liberation? What does that actually look like in practice?
So liberation is about achieving true freedom of location and breaking free from that traditional 9 to 5 grind. Ferriss introduces the concept of mini retirements,
Right.
where you take extended breaks throughout your life to
Yes.
travel, pursue passions, and recharge.
So it's not about waiting until you're 65 to finally enjoy life.
Exactly. You can have those retirement experiences at any age.
I like that. So how do you make that happen?
Well, he shares some amazing examples of people who've done just that.
Yeah.
Couples sailing around the world with their kids, entrepreneurs running businesses from exotic locations, people taking sabbaticals to chase their dreams.
So liberation is really about designing a life where work and location are no longer limitations?
Exactly. It's about having the freedom to choose where you want to live and how you want to spend your time.
Now, one concept that really caught my attention in the audiobook excerpts was geo-arbitrage. What exactly is that, and how does it fit into the 4-hour work week philosophy?
So geo-arbitrage is about taking advantage of cost of living differences between countries to increase your purchasing power.
Interesting. So you could earn income in a high-income country, but live more affordably in a lower-cost country.
Exactly. For example, you might earn in the U.S. but live in Thailand or Argentina, stretching your money further and potentially living a more luxurious lifestyle for less.
That's fascinating.
He even talks about medical tourism, traveling to other countries for affordable health care.
It's amazing how he encourages readers to think outside the box and find creative solutions. He's not just talking about working less, he's talking about living better, more strategically.
Absolutely. It's about being resourceful and leveraging global opportunities to create a life that truly aligns with your values and priorities.
Now, I know Ferriss uses a lot of personal anecdotes and examples to illustrate his points. Are there any stories from the audiobook that particularly stood out to you?
One that I found particularly inspiring was the story of Julie,
Okay.
a mother of 3 who sailed around the world with her family for 15 months.
Wow.
And she realized that her children were actually the best reason to travel and have adventures, not an obstacle.
That's a powerful reminder that we can create a life that's fulfilling for both ourselves and our families. It challenges the assumption that you have to choose between family and adventure.
Exactly. It's about finding ways to integrate your passions and your responsibilities in a way that works for you and your family.
You know, another anecdote that really resonated with me was Ferriss's own experience of winning the National Chinese Kickboxing Championship.
Yes. That story perfectly encapsulates his philosophy of finding unconventional solutions and challenging the status quo.
Right. He didn't win through brute force or years of training.
No, he won by exploiting a technicality in the rules.
That's incredible. It shows you don't have to be the most talented or experienced to achieve something extraordinary. Sometimes it's about finding a unique approach and leveraging your strengths.
Exactly. It's about being creative and resourceful.
But it also highlights his willingness to experiment and take risks, right?
Absolutely. Throughout the book, he emphasizes the importance of testing assumptions and actually doing the things he suggests, not just reading about them.
It's about having a growth mindset and constantly seeking new experiences and challenges. So the 4-hour workweek isn't just a set of rules, it's a way of approaching life.
Exactly. It's a mindset shift that empowers you to take control of your time, your work, and ultimately your life.
This has been such an insightful conversation. We've covered so much ground already. We've unpacked the deal framework, explored the power of automation, and even touched on the concept of geo-arbitrage.
And we've seen how these principles can be applied to both entrepreneurial ventures and traditional work environments.
Exactly. And this is just the beginning of our deep dive into the 4-hour workweek. We'll be back in part 2 to explore more of Ferriss's strategies and insights.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it. So we're back for more of our deep dive into the 4-hour work week.
Picking up where we left off.
Right, exploring Tim Ferriss's strategies for, well, escaping that 9 to 5 and designing a life of freedom.
We were just talking about geo-arbitrage
Right.
and how it allows you to leverage those cost of living differences to live better, but for less. Like hacking the system, but in a good way.
Yeah, it's about being resourceful, right? Using the tools that are available to you to create that lifestyle that supports your goals.
Yeah, and Ferriss really gives a lot of tools in the book.
He does.
Practical advice for, every stage of building this ideal life, from, productivity hacks to, unconventional business strategies.
Yeah, he's got a lot to offer.
One thing that really struck me was his emphasis on mindset.
Yes.
Right? He talks about overcoming fear, challenging limiting beliefs,
Right.
and cultivating a growth mindset.
Yeah.
How crucial do you think that really is for making these big life changes?
Oh, absolutely. I think it's the foundation for everything else. You
Yeah.
know, he challenges readers to question their assumptions about what's possible.
Yeah.
And to embrace the discomfort that comes with stepping outside their comfort zones.
Yeah.
It's about believing in your ability to create the life that you want.
And he gives a lot of concrete advice for doing that, like that nightmare scenario exercise we were talking about earlier.
Yes. Instead of shying away from fear,
Yeah.
he encourages you to confront it head on, really dig into those worst case scenarios.
And he provides specific techniques.
He does.
For overcoming fear, like visualization, gradual exposure.
Yeah, he's got a whole toolbox of techniques.
He also emphasizes action.
Yeah.
Even if it's small steps at first.
Absolutely. It's about building that momentum.
Right.
And proving to yourself that you're capable of more than you think.
Building confidence.
Yeah.
Developing that positive mindset.
Exactly.
Now, he also emphasizes mentors and networking.
Yes.
He even has some unusual strategies for connecting with, high-profile individuals.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I think it's brilliant, actually.
Yeah.
He shares some really clever techniques for reaching out to, CEOs, celebrities, other influential people.
Right.
And he emphasizes persistence,
Yeah.
offering value, and finding creative ways to stand out from the crowd.
So it's not just sending, a generic email and hoping for the best.
Exactly. It's about being strategic
Yeah.
and demonstrating that you have something unique to offer.
And he also, encourages people to embrace failure as a learning opportunity, right?
Absolutely. He talks about the importance of failing better, learning from your mistakes, and using them to improve your approach.
It's about having that growth mindset.
Yes.
And viewing challenges as opportunities for growth.
Exactly. It's all part of the process.
Right.
Now, a big part of the 4-hour work week is automation.
Right.
Are there any specific automation strategies from the audiobook that you found particularly helpful?
Well, I think his advice on setting up that virtual business architecture is incredibly valuable.
Yeah.
That detailed flowchart he provides, outlining those key components of an automated system.
Yes, it's incredibly helpful.
Really helps anyone who wants to, create that business that runs smoothly without their constant involvement.
Exactly. It's like building a machine that works for you, even when you're not there to operate it.
Yeah. And he really emphasizes using those specialized companies for tasks like order processing
Yeah.
instead of individual freelancers to
Right.
ensure that reliability, that scalability.
Yes. Yes, it's about having a system that you can trust. But, beyond the practicalities, Ferriss also addresses the psychological challenges of this lifestyle. He
Okay.
talks about the fear of letting go
Yeah.
and the guilt that can come with working less.
Interesting point. I can see how those feelings would arise, especially if you've been conditioned to equate busyness with productivity.
Absolutely. It's a
Yeah.
real mindset shift.
Yeah.
So he provides strategies for dealing with those emotions.
Mm.
He encourages readers to focus on the positive aspects of having more time and freedom
Yeah.
and to remind themselves that they're not being lazy, they're working smarter.
So it's about redefining your relationship with work and what it means to be productive. It's about aligning your work with your values.
Yes.
And creating a life that feels authentic and meaningful.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about finding that balance between productivity and well-being.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to this concept of lifestyle design,
Yeah.
which is really woven throughout the book. He encourages readers to create a life that's intentionally designed
Yeah.
to support their values and goals, not the other way around.
So it's about being proactive and making conscious choices about how you spend your time and your energy. But it's also about, finding that balance between
Yes.
work and play and relationships, personal growth, and, taking care of your well-being.
Absolutely. He emphasizes creating a life that's holistic and sustainable.
Right. And one of his strategies for doing that is
Yeah.
eliminating those unnecessary commitments and obligations,
Mm.
right? Learning to say no can be so hard,
It can.
but it's crucial for freeing up time for what truly matters.
Yes. Yes. It's about setting boundaries
Yeah.
and protecting your time and energy.
And he also talks about streamlining those routines,
Yeah.
automating or outsourcing as many tasks as possible.
Right. It's about creating a system that works for you
Yeah.
instead of being a slave to the system.
Now, travel plays a big part in the 4-hour work week.
It does.
And Ferriss encourages people to view travel as an integral part of their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Not just like a once-a-year vacation,
Right.
but for a lot of people, the idea of long-term travel seems daunting and expensive.
Absolutely. But that's where his practical advice comes in.
Okay.
He gives tips on finding affordable flights and accommodation, packing light,
Right.
traveling slowly to really immerse yourself in a place.
Yeah.
He even suggests, considering living abroad for extended periods.
It's about making travel a part of your everyday life, not just a fleeting escape.
Exactly. Exactly. But it's also about being a more mindful and engaged traveler.
Right. Not just checking destinations off a list.
Yes. Yes. It's about truly experiencing the world.
Now, Ferriss is really good at weaving inspiring stories throughout the book.
Yes.
Are there any stories that particularly resonated with you in terms of, this idea of lifestyle design?
There's one that I found particularly inspiring.
Okay.
It's the story of a woman named Michelle
Okay.
who quit her corporate job to pursue her passion for photography.
Okay.
She traveled the world,
Yeah.
built a successful photography business,
Yeah.
and created a life that she truly loved.
That's a powerful example. It shows you don't have to sacrifice your passions or your financial security to live a more adventurous and fulfilling life.
Absolutely. It's about finding that sweet spot
Yeah.
where your work and your passions align.
And he offers practical advice for doing that, right? Like identifying your skills and interests,
Yeah.
finding ways to monetize your passions,
Yeah.
building a business that supports your lifestyle goals.
Exactly. He gives you those concrete steps and strategies
Yeah.
to make it happen. And that's what I think makes his work so compelling.
It's not just like pie in the sky dreaming, right? He gives you those tools to turn those dreams into reality.
Exactly. And he emphasizes continuous learning and experimentation.
So it's about having that growth mindset and constantly, testing those new ideas and approaches.
Yes, yes. It's about viewing your life as an ongoing experiment.
It's about having that growth mindset
Yes.
and being willing to step outside of your comfort zone to try new things and to learn from your mistakes.
Absolutely. It's all about growth and evolution.
Yeah.
So the 4-hour work week, it's not just a set of rules. It's a way of approaching life.
Exactly.
It's a mindset shift that empowers you to take control of your time, your work, and ultimately your life.
It's about creating a life that's both fulfilling and adventurous.
Exactly.
Now, in the audiobook excerpts you shared, Ferriss talks about building a strong social network, connecting with people who share your values and interests.
Yeah.
He talks about networking with those influential people,
Right.
but he also, really stresses connecting with mentors and peers.
Yeah.
Why is that so crucial?
Because we're not meant to do this alone.
Right.
Having a supportive community of like-minded individuals can make all the difference.
Especially when you're making those big life changes.
Absolutely. It's about surrounding yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and support you on your journey.
And he gives some really practical advice on how to build that strong network, right? It's not just about, attending those networking events. It's about building those genuine connections with people who share your values and your interests.
Exactly. He encourages readers to join online communities, attend industry events, reach out to people they admire. But it's about more than just collecting contacts. It's about cultivating those meaningful relationships based on mutual respect and support.
And I think that's crucial for anyone, embarking on this journey of personal growth and transformation.
Absolutely.
It's about building that tribe of people who understand your journey.
And who can help you stay motivated and accountable. Now, switching gears a bit, what are your thoughts on Ferriss's advice about, building a personal brand and becoming an expert in your field?
It's interesting how he encourages readers to think differently about what it means to be an expert.
Right.
It's not necessarily about having years of experience or advanced degrees. It's about positioning yourself as a thought leader and showcasing your expertise in a way that attracts attention and opportunities.
And he provides some unconventional strategies for doing that.
He does.
He encourages joining relevant trade organizations, giving free seminars, even creating your own expert profiles on websites that connect journalists with sources.
It's about being proactive and taking control of your personal brand.
And emphasizing providing value and building relationships with journalists and other influencers.
Exactly. It's about building those connections and establishing yourself as a credible resource. And, he reminds readers that becoming an expert
is often less about having all the answers.
Right.
And more about being able to effectively communicate what you know and connect with your audience.
So it's about being passionate about your subject matter and being willing to share your knowledge in a way that's engaging and helpful.
And that's a valuable lesson, not just for aspiring entrepreneurs, but for anyone who wants to make a difference in the world.
Right.
It's about finding your voice and using it to share your passions and your knowledge.
Right.
Now, something else that Ferriss talks about extensively is the importance of negotiating. He argues that negotiation is a skill that can be learned and practiced, and that it's essential for getting better deals in both your personal and professional life.
He challenges readers to become more comfortable with negotiation. And he provides those tactics, what he calls the Jedi mind tricks. And emphasizes having that clear objective before entering any negotiation. What are your thoughts on his approach?
I think it's brilliant. He breaks down the negotiation process into manageable steps and provides practical advice that can be applied to a wide range of situations. And he also emphasizes the importance of being willing to walk away from a deal if it doesn't meet your needs.
He also reminds readers that negotiation isn't about being aggressive or manipulative.
No.
It's about finding that mutually beneficial solution. It's about communication and collaboration.
Exactly. And it's about being creative and finding ways to create value for both parties involved. Now, he talks a lot about time management as well. But his approach is definitely not traditional.
Right.
He challenges the idea of trying to cram more into your day and instead encourages readers to focus on eliminating unnecessary tasks, automating those routine processes, and batching similar activities together. What are your thoughts on his approach to time management?
I think it's incredibly effective. It's about being intentional with your time and energy and creating systems that support your goals.
Exactly. It's not about working harder, it's about working smarter. And it's about creating a work environment that supports your productivity and well-being. Something I find refreshing is that he acknowledges the importance of taking breaks and recharging. He encourages readers to schedule regular mini retirements. And to make time for activities that bring them joy and relaxation.
And during those breaks, he emphasizes disconnecting from work and technology completely. To allow for true rest and rejuvenation.
Yes, to really recharge.
And he provides specific strategies for doing this, like setting up an autoresponder for your email, letting your colleagues know that you'll be unavailable for a certain period of time.
Exactly. He reminds us that we're not machines. We need time to recharge and reconnect with ourselves and our loved ones in order to be our best selves.
It's about creating that lifestyle that's sustainable and enjoyable in the long run.
Exactly, exactly. It's about taking care of yourself both physically and mentally. Now, something else that I found really helpful in the audiobook was his advice on defining your dream lines,
Okay.
which are visual representations of your ideal life.
Yeah, he provides a good framework for creating those dream lines
It does.
and breaking them down into those actionable steps.
Yes.
He encourages being specific and visualizing that ideal life in detail.
Yeah, it's about setting clear goals and creating a roadmap for achieving them.
Hmm.
But he also reminds readers that those dream lines can and should evolve over time.
Right, as you learn and grow.
Exactly. It's about embracing change and being open to new possibilities.
Mm.
Now, he also dedicates a section of the book to overcoming fear and procrastination.
Yeah, which are such common challenges
Yeah,
for people trying to make those big life changes.
absolutely. So he provides a helpful framework for understanding and addressing fear and procrastination.
Okay.
He encourages readers to identify the root causes of their fears and to challenge those negative thoughts and beliefs that are holding them back.
And he provides some specific techniques like visualization and exposure therapy.
Yes, yes, he's got a lot of tools in his toolbox.
And he emphasizes action, building momentum, even if it's just small steps at first.
Absolutely. It's about taking those first steps and building from there. And, he talks about the importance of reframing failure as a learning opportunity
Right.
and of celebrating your successes along the way.
It's about building confidence, right?
Yes,
Developing that positive mindset.
exactly. It's all about mindset. I think one of the most valuable things about his approach is his emphasis on experimentation and personal responsibility.
Yeah, he doesn't claim to have all the answers.
No.
He encourages finding what works best for you
Yes.
and adapting his strategies to your own unique circumstances.
Exactly. And he reminds readers that they are ultimately in control of their own lives and that they have the power to create the life they want.
It's an empowering message
It is.
that really resonates with people from all walks of life.
Absolutely. And he does it in a way that's both practical and inspiring.
Now, we've talked a lot about, building a business,
Right.
becoming an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Do you think these 4-hour workweek principles can apply to other areas of life?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the most powerful aspects of the book. The principles of eliminating distractions,
Right.
automating tasks,
Yeah.
delegating responsibilities, designing a lifestyle that supports your goals.
Yeah.
These can be applied to any area of your life, whether it's your personal finances, relationships, your health, your hobbies.
So it's about taking control of your life as a whole
Exactly.
and designing it in a way that aligns with those values and aspirations.
It's about living more intentionally
Yeah.
and creating a life that's both fulfilling and meaningful.
Now, Ferriss also talks about defining your values
Yes.
and aligning your life with those values.
Right.
Why is that so crucial?
Because I think it's the foundation for creating a life that's truly fulfilling and meaningful.
Yeah.
When you're clear about your values,
Yeah.
you can make decisions that are consistent with those values. And you can create a life that reflects who you truly are.
It's about living authentically,
Yeah.
creating a life that's true to yourself.
Exactly.
But how do you actually go about defining your values?
So it provides some helpful exercises.
Yeah.
He encourages readers to think about the times in their lives
Yeah.
when they felt most fulfilled and aligned,
Okay.
and to identify the values that were present in those experiences.
So reflecting on your own experiences.
Yes.
Identifying what's truly important.
Exactly.
Now, something else Ferriss talks about
Yeah.
is taking risks and embracing failure,
Yeah.
which seems counterintuitive to a lot of people,
It does.
especially those trying to create that more secure, stable life.
Right.
Why do you think he emphasizes that so much?
Because, growth and innovation happen outside of your comfort zone. If you're not willing to take risks, you're not going to achieve anything truly extraordinary.
And he encourages readers to reframe failure
Yes.
as a learning opportunity.
Exactly. It's not about avoiding failure.
Right.
It's about learning from your mistakes
Yeah.
and using them to improve your approach.
Mm.
And, he also talks about the importance of celebrating your successes, no matter how small they may seem.
Yeah, it's about recognizing your progress
Yes.
and giving yourself credit
Exactly.
for the effort that you're putting in.
It's about acknowledging your wins
Yeah.
and building that positive momentum. One of the things I appreciate most about the 4-hour workweek
Yeah.
is it's not just a theoretical framework. It's a practical guide to creating a more fulfilling and free life.
And he gives a ton of concrete strategies and tools that readers can implement immediately.
He does.
And he doesn't just tell you what to do, he explains why it works
Yeah.
and how to adapt those strategies to your own circumstances.
Exactly. And that's why I think it's been so popular and enduring.
It's not just another self-help book
No,
that
no.
promises to solve all your problems.
Right.
It's a realistic,
Yes.
actionable guide
Exactly.
to creating a life that you love.
And he's very transparent about his own journey as well.
Right. He shares his struggles, his failures,
Yeah.
makes him even more relatable, I think, to readers.
He acknowledges that creating this lifestyle is not always easy,
Right.
But he also makes it clear that it's possible, and he provides that roadmap for getting there.
That's what makes it so inspiring and motivating.
Yeah.
It gives you permission to dream big
Yeah.
and to believe that you can create a life that's both fulfilling and adventurous.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about taking control of your life and designing it in a way that reflects your values and your aspirations. And it's about recognizing that you have the power to create the life that you want.
Well said. And I think that's a perfect place to pause. We've covered a lot of ground in part 2 of our deep dive, exploring the practicalities of automation, the
Yeah.
importance of mindset and personal development,
Yep.
and that transformative power of lifestyle design.
And we've delved into the inspiring stories of individuals who've embraced these principles to create lives of freedom and fulfillment.
Exactly. But our exploration of the 4-hour workweek isn't over yet.
No, not yet.
We'll be back for part 3
Yeah.
to uncover even more of Tim Ferriss's insights and strategies for designing a life you love. All right, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the 4-hour workweek.
Time to wrap things up.
We've explored Tim Ferriss's DEAL framework,
Right.
delved into automation and lifestyle design,
Yeah.
and we've heard some pretty inspiring stories
Yeah.
of those who've really embraced this life of freedom.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've only just scratched the surface.
Oh, absolutely. There's still so much more to uncover in terms of those specific strategies and practical advice that Ferriss offers.
One thing that keeps coming up is this idea of challenging those assumptions.
Yep.
And thinking outside the box
Right.
seems to be like at the core of his philosophy.
Really is. He constantly encourages readers to question that status quo and to look for alternative ways of doing things.
Yeah. Whether it's, approaching your career, your business, even your daily routines, he's always saying, is there a better way?
Exactly. Exactly. Don't just accept things the way they are.
And he's not afraid to push those boundaries, right?
No, not at all. He's all about experimentation.
I remember him talking about lifestyle businesses.
Yes.
Businesses that are designed to support your lifestyle,
Right.
not the other way around.
Yeah.
It's a pretty radical concept.
It is. It goes against that traditional idea of building a business solely for growth and profit.
Right, right.
He wants you to think about your ideal lifestyle first
Yeah.
and then design a business that supports that vision.
So it's about aligning your work with your passions and your values.
Exactly.
But how do you actually go about identifying and validating those business ideas that fit this?
Well, Ferriss actually provides a step-by-step process for that.
Okay.
He encourages readers to consider their skills,
Yeah.
their interests, their experiences,
Yeah.
and look for opportunities to solve problems,
Okay.
or meet those needs in the marketplace.
That's starting small, right?
Yes, he emphasizes starting small, testing those ideas before investing a lot of time or resources.
He loves that micro-testing, right?
Oh, he's a huge advocate for
This
it.
using platforms like eBay and Google AdWords
Yeah.
to really validate those ideas before going all in.
Exactly. It's a smart way to mitigate risk.
Seems like it.
Yeah, you get that real-world feedback
Yeah.
and data
Right.
before committing those significant resources.
And if it doesn't work,
Yeah,
you pivot.
exactly. You move on to something else.
It's about embracing that failure as part of the process, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a valuable lesson, not just for entrepreneurs, but for anyone who's trying to create a life they love.
It's about having that growth mindset
Yeah.
and viewing those challenges as opportunities.
Exactly. Exactly. Opportunities for learning and improvement. And that applies to every aspect of life, not just business.
Now, one thing that comes up a lot in the 4-hour workweek is this importance of building that strong online presence.
Yes.
Why is that so crucial?
Well, it allows you to reach a global audience,
Okay.
connect with those potential customers or clients from all over the world.
Right.
You can build your credibility,
Yeah.
establish yourself as an expert.
Yeah.
And of course, for anyone building a location-independent business, it's essential.
Yeah. He provides a lot of practical advice, right?
He does.
Building a website, creating that valuable content, using social media effectively.
Right.
But it can feel overwhelming.
It can.
especially if you're not that tech savvy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I would say start small.
Yeah.
Focus on one thing at a time. You don't have to do everything at once.
Right.
Pick one platform, like a blog
Yeah.
or a social media channel.
Yeah.
Start creating content that you're passionate about.
Right.
And don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yeah.
There are tons of resources available, both online
Yeah.
and in your local community.
It's about taking that first step.
Yes.
And then building that momentum over time.
Exactly.
You know, Ferriss really emphasizes creating those systems
Yeah.
and automating those processes.
Yeah, he talks about building that machine that works for you.
Even when you're not physically present.
Exactly. Exactly.
And he provides advice on how to automate those tasks.
Right.
Streamline processes.
Yeah.
Delegate those responsibilities.
It's about creating a system that's efficient, reliable, and scalable.
It seems like a lot of work up front,
It can be.
but the payoff's huge, right?
It is. Once you've created that system,
Yeah.
you can step back
Yeah.
and focus on the things that you truly enjoy, you know?
Yeah. Right. Spending time with your family, traveling the world, pursuing those passions.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's about investing that time and energy up front
Yeah.
to create that life of freedom and flexibility.
In the long run.
In the long run, exactly.
Ferriss also talks a lot about defining those values and
Yes.
aligning your life with them.
Right, right. Why do you think that's so crucial?
Well, because it's that foundation, right?
It is, yeah.
For creating a life that's truly fulfilling and meaningful.
Yeah, when you're clear about your values,
Right.
you can make decisions that are consistent with them.
Yeah.
And you can create that life that really reflects who you truly are.
Right. Otherwise, you just get caught up in,
Yeah.
the expectations of others.
Right. Or in the pursuit of things that don't really matter to you.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
about living authentically
Yeah.
and creating a life that's true to yourself.
Exactly. Exactly.
But how do you actually, define your values?
Right. It can seem like a pretty abstract concept.
Yeah.
But Ferriss gives some helpful exercises.
Okay.
He encourages readers to think about those times in their lives when they
Yeah.
felt most fulfilled and aligned,
Okay.
and to identify those values that were present in those experiences.
So it's about reflecting on those experiences
Yeah.
and identifying the things that are truly important to you.
Exactly. And once you've identified your values,
Yeah.
it's about making those conscious choices
Right.
that align with those values.
Whether it's, the work you do,
Yes.
the relationships you cultivate,
Yeah.
the way you spend your time and energy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about creating a life that's intentional and purposeful.
Yeah.
And, something else he talks about
Yeah.
is taking risks and embracing failure.
Which can seem, counterintuitive.
It can, especially for those who are trying to create a more secure and stable life.
Why do you think he emphasizes that so much?
Well, because growth and innovation happen outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
If you're not willing to take risks,
Yeah.
you're not going to achieve anything truly extraordinary.
He encourages reframing failure
Yes.
as that learning opportunity.
Exactly.
Not about avoiding it. It's about,
It's about learning from your mistakes
yeah.
and using them to improve your approach.
Right. And he also talks about celebrating those successes.
Yeah.
No matter how small.
It's about recognizing your progress
Yeah.
and giving yourself credit for the effort you're putting in. One of the things that I really appreciate
Yeah.
about the 4-Hour Workweek
Yeah.
is that it's not just this theoretical framework.
Right.
It's a practical guide
It is.
to creating a more fulfilling and free life.
Right. He gives all these concrete strategies,
Yeah.
tools that you can implement immediately.
He does.
And he explains, why it works.
Right.
How to adapt the strategies to your own circumstances.
And he's very transparent
Yeah.
about his own struggles.
Yeah. He shares those failures.
He does, which makes him even more relatable, I think.
Yep.
He acknowledges that creating this lifestyle isn't always easy,
Right.
but he makes it clear that it's possible.
Yeah.
And he provides that roadmap.
And that's what's so inspiring
Yeah.
and motivating about it, right? It gives you that permission
It does.
to dream big
Yeah.
and to believe that you can create that life that's both fulfilling and adventurous.
Exactly. It's about taking control of your life,
Yeah.
designing it in the way that reflects those values and aspirations,
Yeah.
and recognizing that you have the power
Yeah.
to create the life you want.
That's a perfect note to end on.
Yeah.
So we've covered a lot of ground in our deep dive
It
into
is.
the 4-Hour Workweek.
Yeah.
We've explored Tim Ferriss's deal framework,
Right.
the power of automation, lifestyle design,
Yes.
heard those inspiring stories
Yeah.
of people really embracing this life of freedom.
And we've unpacked those strategies
Yeah.
for eliminating those distractions,
Yeah.
automating those tasks, delegating responsibilities.
Defining those values,
Yes.
taking risks, creating a life that's both fulfilling and meaningful. So this is just the beginning of your journey.
It is.
So take these principles, the strategies we discussed today.
Yeah.
Start applying them.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to experiment, to challenge that status quo,
Yeah.
to create a life that really reflects your values
Exactly.
and aspirations.
So remember,
Yeah.
the 4-hour work week isn't a destination. It's a journey.
Yeah.
Embrace the challenge, enjoy the ride, and start designing the life you've always dreamed of.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the 4-hour workweek. We hope you found it insightful and inspiring.
Until next time, keep seeking, keep questioning, and keep designing your ideal life.